What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny Mack here. Just wanted to give you a heads up that if you are looking for a community that is open to discussion as far as mentorship, conservation, the wild, becoming a better person, and all of that, there is a group for you on Facebook, and it is called Soul Seekers. Soul Seekers, we are all about making ourselves a better person. We're all about making sure hunting lasts for generations to come and encouraging people to get plugged in. Whether you are someone who has something to give or someone who needs to soak it up like a sponge, this is a community for you, and I strongly encourage you that if you're on Facebook to join Soul Seekers, and if you're not on Facebook, hop on there just for that group. It is only going to be as powerful as we all make it. And so just remember that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you, and that you can't outgive good. You can't outgive good, people. I want you to understand that, and I want you to believe it, because when we believe that and we lead with courage and we lead with intention, lives are changed, lives are transformed, just like on this podcast, transformation through primal adventure. Be blessed. Enjoy this episode. Talk soon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The Soulful Hunter Podcast is also proudly presented by the Crazy Elk Company. Based out of the state of Washington with products made in America, they are providing solutions with gear to problems you didn't even know you had. Their tag wallet is one of those solutions, and I had the pleasure of using it on all of my hunts this last year, and it is now a mainstay in my kill kit. The tag wallet is a water-resistant zippered pouch that comes with its own reusable zip ties to safely and securely store your notch tag for quick and easy access. For more information, go to crazyelkcompany.com and use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. Be blessed, everyone, and as always, stay soulful. What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. This episode that I have for you today is actually one that I recorded probably about 6 to 8 months ago in preparation for launching our show, Soul Seekers, that we are doing in collaboration with Clint Easley of Revel Entertainment. And it is something that I've wanted to release, and I just totally spaced my mind. And so it's one of those things that how we are talking about this show is in the present or in the future. So we're talking about, releasing it on Carbon TV and all this stuff. Well, when you are listening to this episode, you can already go to Carbon TV and watch Soul Seekers for free. You can download the app on iOS and Android apps, as well as Roku, Fire Stick, Chromecast, or go to carbontv.com and check out Soul Seekers. While you're there, if you could follow along on our show and also rank our show to have a score of 10, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We are in the running for some Carbon TV awards, and it's something that I love competing, and it's fun to do this, and it's fun to put out content that is exciting and yet stimulating in a lot of different ways. And it's just a great way to create a lasting legacy for the hunting community. Remember, you cannot outgive good. Mentorship is conservation. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Look forward to catching you on the other side. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. I'm joined by the ultimate two-shotter.
The one and only two-shot.
Two-shot Tony. Got two-shot Tony here, also joined by the commander himself, just commanding things left and right, the Commander Clint. And he is...
he's already taken it too far.
He's on fire right now. Anyways, we're here. This is going to be a great show for you. This is the very first show where we've truly dove into the collaboration between Revel Entertainment, Washington Backcountry, and the Soulful Hunter. and the three legs of the tripod that are gonna be just making an impact in the hunting world. So, guys, thanks for joining.
I love that you started with a camera pun. 3 legs of the tripod.
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm part of the team.
What-
Because it has to be a collaboration, you know. Gotta include you.
Yeah, you are the third leg.
Somebody's got to be.
Anyways, this podcast episode is specifically directed around our collaboration that we are releasing into the world in 2021, which is Soul Seekers.
Soul Seekers.
Why did we come up with the name Soul Seekers, Johnny?
Well, first off, do we need to talk about what Soul Seekers is before we come up with the name, or do we?
Vice versa,
Let's
whatever
just throw it out
whatever
there.
you want.
All right, so all of you listening, you understand the importance of mentorship as conservation. You've heard me talk about it multiple times on this podcast, talking about how hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, talking about how you can't outgive good, talking about speaking things into existence, manifesting what you want, all of that. Well, Soul Seekers is taking every aspect of what I just said and putting it in a nice, beautiful package and delivering it to the world for them to visually see.
Yes.
So you hear podcasts quite often. I know I don't record these podcasts on video and put them up on YouTube very often. And we also have hunting videos on Tony and I's YouTube channel, Washington Backcountry.
Mm-hmm.
But when we met you, Clint, the goals and aspirations in which I personally had became a reality. I knew that I always wanted to get paid to be who I am. And we're not even to the paid part yet. This
No.
is just, I'm just saying this right now, speaking out loud for everyone to know that like teaching is awesome. And I love teaching. Teaching public education is its own ball of wax. And I love teaching, but it doesn't need to be in a classroom setting anymore.
Gotcha.
Which is what Washington Backcountry was all about, which is why the Soulful Hunter podcast is here. And ultimately, I love filming hunts. I love delivering content. And I am not the best cameraman. And Tony can't always be behind the camera because he also wants to fill his freezer. And here you are, a professional videographer, photographer with his own entertainment company, Revel.
Yes.
And we became instant best friends.
You're like, he serves a purpose. I love it.
Not that you serve a purpose, but there's no coincidences in life.
Absolutely.
Like, as much as a photographer needs someone in front of the camera, a subject to shoot, somebody who has something to say needs someone to be able to hit the record button. Tony's an amazing editor, and he doesn't even understand how good he is.
Very talented.
And
very, very talented.
And so, not that all of us aren't all in front of the camera or behind the camera and vice versa, but the personalities work and all that. And so here we are. We're talking about Soul Seekers. So you said what's in the name? Soul Seekers was derived from an idea where we know that our goal, and my specific goal, and hopefully I'm not speaking for you guys, so feel free to jump in if you want.
Mhm.
I want Washington Backcountry and Soulful Hunter podcast and Soulful Hunter to be known as the face and voice for hunter recruitment and mentorship in this nation. Well, what is someone in state of Tennessee going to care about the state of Washington as far as like hunting goes and pictures and YouTube videos and all that stuff? But yet mentorship is nationwide. Mentorship is global. We thrive off of mentorship. If someone didn't take you and teach you how to do something, like you wouldn't be in videography or photography as well as you are if you didn't have someone show you, correct?
Correct.
So here we are. Our life is based upon someone else investing time into us. And so I believe in hunting that much and how it has the power to transform lives that I also wanted to create a show. But I cannot say that I'm that good of a hunter yet, nor Tony. I feel like we have that much experience
True.
where it's hard to dedicate enough time to developing a show because on TV, like Sportsman's Channel, Outdoor Channel, Network, whatever you want to call it, it seems like it always has to have a kill shot. Always has to have a kill shot. And I was like, there's so much more content and story to be told beyond a kill.
Agreed.
And so we wanted to start the concept of soul seekers, where we are taking a new mentee hunter with us out in the field for every hunt, or it is a brand new hunt for us that we've never experienced. And either that mentee has a tag and he or she is the shooter, or they're just with us following our steps, learning, because mentorship is not always being with the person for them to do it. It's them just watching and learning by example. And then us trying brand new things. And so I figured, if we could develop a show not revolving around a kill and telling the story about why adult onset hunters and people getting into hunting is so powerful and how it can change their lives, then that's the hook. Because you always talk about in the story or talk about shows like, what's the storyline?
Yes.
What's the purpose behind it?
Yes.
And
Because you gotta have the meat and potatoes. You gotta have something that's going to capture the audience on a level that the kill shot, I always say, is the cherry on top. So when you get the kill, that's fantastic. It helps kind of complete the overall story. But the primary, meat and potatoes of the story is our mentee in this circumstance. So being able to take somebody out there, they're the primary subject. The animal is no longer the primary subject. They're the bonus that makes that whole experience that much more thrilling for everyone.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree. And so here we are, soul seekers. We are out seeking after the souls of ourselves because we get to find who we are in the mountains, in the wilderness. We are seeking after the souls of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
We have purpose in what we're trying to accomplish. But most importantly, we're seeking after the souls of others to get them involved,
Absolutely.
to get hunting growing again, the numbers increasing across America, and to get more people involved. And specifically, I'm an adult onset hunter. I now have 3 children. You were kind of raised a hunter, and you've been in the game a lot
Casually,
longer.
yes.
Tony, you have
Jumped on board right when you did.
with me,
Yep.
and we all have kids, and we
Yep.
all have sons, and now they get to learn.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it's something that we're going to pass down to them, where they are learning how to be self-reliant, learning how to be, caretakers, conservationists, seek after adventure, the primal adventure that has
That's
the
right.
power to transform their life. Yeah, all that stuff. And so that is what Soul Seekers
Is all about.
And I feel like I just went on a straight ramble right there.
And
But
you nailed
That's it.
but you talked about the names, like what is in the name.
Yeah.
What sets our show apart is that it's not about us.
Exactly. And there's great things to have shows that provide that content. We're trying to do something different, something out of the box, something that's a little more how would you say, a little more educational driven. And you with your teaching background is the perfect pair for us to have. Tony, he can do great camera work. He can also talk great on camera. I think that overall dynamic, like you said, it's a perfect fit for the 3 of us. And it's something that I told my wife. I was like, I've literally prayed to finally meet 2 guys that live in the same state as me, because you can go out and do content all day, but when you're trying to do content from state to state with other people, it's not practical. But we all 3 being passionate about the same thing, the same direction, and then being able to meet in person, brainstorm together, go out and film together and plan hunts spontaneously and bring all that to life is just a heaven sent. So I'm super, super grateful to be a part of the crew.
We are honored to have you.
100%.
You're teaching us so much. You are giving back, and at the same time, it's not about filling a role or serving a purpose. But my goal requires a skill set in which I don't have.
Right, which is where with our forces combined we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of people overlook the fact that when you're trying to make new content and you're trying to do it on our typical budget, the average Joe's budget, if you will,
Which is for me 0. It's just whatever I can get month to month.
it's all straight sweat equity, and you can't just go and reach out to a sponsor and say, hey, you guys want to pay for this show idea? You have to go, and we've said it repetitively together, is you have to go out and grind, do the hunts, film the hunts, produce the content, and then eventually you have enough content to be able to show somebody and prove to them that you know what you're doing. So for me to be able to step into the group, we have a little bit of acceleration just for the fact from the camera side of it. Doesn't make me better than anybody else because we're all contributing evenly.
Well,
But
I
I
would say the production side too, because of your
Yeah.
background in
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
hunting
because I
production.
guess that's one thing that we're leaving it out is that
Yeah.
you're not just a cameraman, you're a producer.
Yes. But I think that team aspect, right? So we have you are kind of like the primary host. I love being behind the camera, so I don't mind. I'll always have a tag with me too, so we have the opportunity to shoot. But I truly, genuinely love and am passionate about being behind the camera and being able to document everything. And then same with Tony. He loves the camera, but he loves to hunt. So the overall opportunity for the three of us to combine forces is a really one of a kind story that we have to tell, and then bringing a mentoree into the mix is just a huge bonus that we're able to take that, combine it all, and then distribute it to everybody.
And I think one of the biggest things is also to show people that you can do it. You can
Yes.
still take out new hunters and have your own hunt at the exact
Yep.
same time.
Yes, you can.
And to encourage people with that, because there's so much to learn. Like, I learned how to play the guitar because I watched someone play it.
Mhm.
Not everyone is a visual learner, not everyone's an auditory learner. You know, I could be like, all right, do this, and they hear it and then they repeat it. But there's so much with hunting that covers. Like, there's so much to learn, from scouting to in the field to after the kill to then after the kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I would love for you, Johnny, if you don't mind, to branch out a little bit in some of the events that you do and how we even determine how to find a mentoree to bring with us. How do we filter that to find the right person, the right shoe that fits?
that's great question, Clint. So if you are ever interested in being a mentee for Soul Seekers, the show, it's one of the things that for very first season, it is been people that I have met at our social engagement. So Washington Backcountry throws social events um, multiple times a year since coronavirus happened, and we kind of slowed our roll on
Mhm.
that. However, I've been able to meet certain individuals who I can tell have a passion for it. They're not just in it because like and there's nothing wrong with that, but as far as having a person in a show
Mhm.
and to mentee, I first of all got to make sure that they can cut it physically, because where we go, we're going
Depending
into
on what hunt we're doing.
depending on the type of hunt.
Yep.
Yeah, got to understand what do they want out of hunting,
Right.
you know, because that also fits them in certain scenarios. And then, do they have children? Have they ever had an experience hunting? Most of them are always going to be adult onset hunters. You know, it is fun to teach a kid how to hunt and fish, and there will be when our children are old enough, we're going to have them, I would imagine, in the show. However, that information that an adult gains is instant transfer to more people.
And that's kind of the goal, is you will then take what you've learned to pass that on, and now you are becoming the mentor to a new mentee.
Right.
So if you say you're doing a 12-year-old who's going to do the hunt, and he's not going to have as much of an influence, but it's going to be cool. It may transform his life. He's going to eventually get there. But an adult with kids, or an adult with an influence with other adults, it's going to fast track a lot more into
Bigger ripple effect.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, and so yeah, for example, you get somebody who doesn't have kids, but they're an adult onset hunter, but they're in a workspace where all of a
Yes.
sudden, like, dude, hey, Bill, what'd you do this weekend? You won't believe what I did. I went out and went hunting. Oh, yeah, cool. No,
I
no,
have a
no.
brother who I'm going to take him along with me because blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know,
You ever thought about hunting? No, you haven't? You want to learn? I'd love to show you. Or, hey, go check out Washington Backcountry. Go check out
Right.
Soulful Hunter, you know, all this stuff. And so to answer your question more is that we are also doing mentorship weekends, Soul Seeker mentorship weekends, where we are seeking after the souls of new hunters who want to learn. We're going to be hosting these events. It'll be a 24-hour event, one night. Check in at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Check out will be 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Within that, we're going to be covering all sorts of different things, from digital scouting to shooting a bow, shooting a rifle, how to pack for a hunt, what you need to take into the field with you. Um, Also, we're going to be covering glassing techniques. You're going to be running a section specifically for photography and videography
Yes.
and filming hunts and taking pictures of your hunts. But also within that, we're going to keep the numbers small so that people get a chance to eat wild game,
Hmm.
maybe get a chance to cook wild game. Food will be provided, but within that will be a cohort. And so that cohort that signs up for Soul Seekers Mentorship Weekend will already have a built-in community of other hunters that will join them on their journey,
Right.
which is something that cannot be said for a lot of things. Like, you go to a seminar, you sit by yourself, you're afraid to talk to other people, mix it up with them. All of a sudden, you are in a community where they got your back, you got theirs, and you're willing to go journey and try things out together, and that's going to be super special for these
And
mentees.
this just drives the whole idea behind this is that when we became hunters, how do we fast track becoming good hunters? Because we don't have our whole life. Well, we'd have our life from where we started, but it's like we want to become good hunters now. We don't want to become good hunters in 10 years. How do we fast track this?
Yep.
That was something we didn't have. What are ways that we can do that for others?
Absolutely.
So now we are wanting to put how much can we teach somebody in a weekend? And then that goes on because now you have a community of people who went through that together. Now you have all these people you can go hunting with that you know, respect, and then the knowledge grows that way. So
Yep.
it
Mhm.
just is a ripple effect right there of what we wanted, but was harder to find.
Absolutely. For example, one of the things we're going to be covering in Soul Seekers Weekend is how to read regulations.
Yes.
So you just killed your very first spring bear,
yes.
and you didn't have enough points to draw the tag on your own, but because I was putting in for multiple years, we teamed up, we drew, and then you got to kill your very first
Because
bear.
when we started getting into it, hey, I'm putting in for all these points. And I was like, cool, what are points? What do I get from these points? Oh, it's just more money I have to spend. Maybe I'll do it next year. Maybe I'll do it next year. And then I didn't start putting in for points till like 2 years after after I got my hunting license, because then it took me that long to learn
Yep.
That
how
is-
important they are,
Exactly.
So I was late to the game. That's something that you should know right off the bat because you're going to want to know when you get into it.
And
Yeah.
that's part of what we want to teach is
Yes.
so folks can step into that and they can walk away with a plethora of great education
Absolutely.
and then take that in their arsenal, pass it on.
Absolutely. Two things that people forget. Number one, to invest in themselves.
Mhm.
People are so quick to invest in other things, but will rarely take the time and the money to invest in themselves. Then the other part of that is investing in your future, which goes along with investing in yourself, but thinking about, hey, I'm a new hunter, and yeah, I just want to kill, typically it's a deer. I want to kill my first deer, but they don't think about the opportunities that they're going to have once they actually take this journey as being a hunter for the future. And so, investing in yourselves. So, tying the Soul Seekers Mentorship Weekend together to your original question of how are we choosing mentees for our series is out of the sign up people from Soul Seekers Mentorship Weekends. Those people will then be selected. Not everyone. Certain people will be selected from the mentorship weekend to then for us to take
Yep.
into the field.
And you can learn a lot about a person just in a full day event, but then, we're talking about they need to have the physical capabilities. There's the importance of, and this isn't to bash on people that are a little more introverted, but you have to have an extroverted personality typically because of the sake of
For a
camera.
TV show, yeah.
For a TV show, you don't want to watch
Entertainment.
somebody that's not
yes.
going to talk a little bit. So there's some certain things that we need in the criteria that helps us decipher who's the right fit for what we're doing. And then because we have only a handpicked amount of hunts, you can't just take everybody. As much as we'd love to do that, so we have to be real selective on the folks that we take. But we're doing it with the ultimate purpose that that person is going to have a huge ripple effect in the pond with us as a team as we grow in total.
Right. That mentee for that specific episode will then be able to connect back with the cohort and be
Yes.
like, okay, hey, this is what we learned in the field. They were right. They do know what they're talking about. But at the same time, hopefully. Oh, fingers crossed, knock
This
on wood.
sucked.
But no, man, be able to report back.
Yep.
And be like, okay, I know how to do it. Who wants to go with me next weekend?
Yep.
And here it goes.
Which is awesome because going into this, we've now already have taken a couple mentees who have then gone out on their own hunts with other people.
Yep.
You know, I think back to that already of what we're going. We've already started this and we're getting into it. So we're thinking about future stuff, and these mentees have already now become mentors
Yep.
and going on their own hunts, taking new people.
Yeah, absolutely.
How cool is that?
And that pay it forward community that we're developing too is also helping. It helps with brand growth for all of us because then they have a platform to teach other people or to resource from us, and we'll all build together. So they might go on a hunt with somebody else that they're now teaching. They come back, maybe they learned something that we didn't know, so they can bring that information,
Absolutely.
and we all grow stronger, bigger, larger, and
Wherever
hunting
we're
communities.
learning ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Students of the game.
Yep.
Well, students of the hunt, I guess, because I
Mhm.
don't, But yeah, and so that's the idea of Soul Seekers, is we're gonna blow the lid off the hunting world with it, and it's gonna be found on Carbon TV. So if you have not heard of Carbon TV, it is a streaming platform. You can download the app on your cell phone for both iOS and Android. It's on Roku, Fire Stick, I think Google Cast. They are working and developing an Apple TV app, but you can also go, if you have an iPhone, an Apple TV, you could AirPlay it to the Apple TV for your actual big screen.
Mhm.
Or you can go to their website at carbontv.com and actually watch all the shows. So this is going to be airing in 2021.
Yes.
So we're sitting.
This whole year is preparing. We're filming our episodes, have all of our hunts lined out. We have our mentees lined out, and we will then stack all that and we will air it come 2021.
Yep. And so if you are waiting and anticipating the hunts in which we filmed, you can see a teaser of the very first concept, which was our spring bear hunt last spring, where we took our mentee Doug out into the field, who's never killed a big game animal, has 2 children of his own, an adult onset hunter. We had every experience that you could experience as a hunter within
What
that.
a blast.
I forget how many couple days,
Mhm.
4 days maybe we had for
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And then
And then in detail, you did a fantastic podcast with him. So that's something folks can reference if they want to get the full inside verbal scoop on it.
I like that.
Where can they go to find that specific podcast? Is it pretty easy to track down?
Yeah, so go to iTunes or Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, all that, and you're gonna go. I think it may be episode 39 or 40 of the Soulful Hunter, but
Okay.
it's Spring Bear recap weekend 2.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then the 3 of us, along with Doug,
A fantastic bear hunt.
the
That was
legend Doug,
amazing.
talk about that hunt. So, but Soul Seekers, have you ever, Tony, when you started hunting in 2016, and then we started Washington Backcountry in 2017, did you ever think that you were going to start being a part of a TV show?
Not in a million years. Nor did I think it would go this far with Washington Backcountry and now Soulful Hunter and all of our connections we have. Johnny, you speak so many things that I can't keep up with you. And I know this, we were friends before hunting. I just know who you are. And I was like, man, this guy is a go-getter more than anyone I know. So he has all sorts of ideas, all sorts of crazy things. He kept saying, I want to be paid for this. I love what I do as far as hunting, education, mentorship, and I'm just, I love you. That's awesome. Great. I'm here for the ride. Let's hunt.
do
I'm
it.
just trying to hunt. And he's talking about all this crazy stuff. And then, this comes true, this comes true. And I'm like, wow, this is quite the ride, you know?
Yeah.
And I am so blessed and grateful to be a part of it. I love who you are as a person, and then you put a mission behind you, and
He just rolls with it.
man,
Yeah.
even more powerful,
I'm humbled.
you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so I'm stoked. I can't believe it,
Yeah.
you know?
And one of the things I want to share with all listeners is like nothing's unattainable. Everything
Mhm.
in life is doable if that's what you want.
So the only professional here is Clint. He gets paid to do what he's doing, and you're really good at it, right? I mean, like, it makes total sense. But
Thank you.
I think about editing, right? I would never guess that I would edit something that would be, on TV, multiple episodes.
Mhm.
That's crazy to me. It doesn't make sense. I
But
did
you're
this
really
for
good
fun.
at editing.
I mean, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's a blast to do. I made all sorts of just fun films because it's fun to make.
But all that practice led you to the
Yes,
point where
and-
now you can bring this to fruition and actually have content that's entertaining, but it's still like we said, we got the educational, we've all three got the passion, and it's very hard to find a team of three that are as passionate as we are that we're willing to do that sweat equity to get it there.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because a lot of people are like, I want to have a show, I want to film this, I want to do this, but you have to take the steps to do it. If you don't take the steps, you'll always just be the guy wanting to do it. And we're the game changer where Johnny and Tony and myself are willing to go out, get into the backcountry, get dirty, film the stuff we need to film so we can then start producing the content. And once you have accumulated the content, then you have enough to begin a nice series.
Totally.
And then the message continues.
Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits for Highly Successful People,
Great.
one of those 7 habits is begin with the end in mind.
Yep.
My goal wasn't, when I started watching Backcountry, wasn't to have a TV show. My goal was to impact lives,
I could tell you what your goal was.
to get paid to be who I am.
Johnny would always say, "We are changing the world."
Yeah, we're changing the
We're
world.
changing the world.
One
Yeah.
day- one
That's
day at a
what
time.
that's what you said all the time.
Yeah.
We're changing the world. And I was like, man, you are just out there. I love it. Let's do this. I can't wait. Like,
Yeah, I
That's
want to change the world. It's not about me.
that's
so when
the end
I
in
say,
mind right there.
yeah,
Mhm.
I want to give back to
Yes,
every single
exactly.
person the feelings and the emotions that I have gained from becoming a hunter and the experiences. If I could take my getting into AI, but if I could copy my brain and emotions and experiences and put it into somebody who's never hunted, they'd be electrified and be like, "Oh my gosh!"
Right. Right.
That's what I want. I want every single person in the world that when hunting gets brought up, that they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I don't hunt, but I know exactly, and that's so cool." Or I used to hunt, but I don't anymore. Maybe I need to get back into it. Or, dude, I can't wait to share this with my kids, or whatever it is. Like, put the passion back in, light the fire. It starts with the soul. Get
What,
that
what
soul
was your
going.
pivoting moment where you're teaching, you're doing your typical, what would you call it, 9 to 5 work routine,
Yep.
and you decide, hey, I'm going to go out and learn to hunt. What was it that triggered in you that you all of a sudden felt like you needed that, or what did somebody say to you that influenced you to make that decision?
No one said anything to me. And that's what I think maybe might be a little different of my scenario than anyone else's, is that no one said, "Hey, do you want to hunt? You ever thought about hunting?" It was, as a man, and I'm not saying making this a male or female thing, but
Mhm.
I know as a man,
Because you are a man.
yes. Thank you for clarifying
Yes.
that. There is something that is innate inside of humans to be a provider, especially through the man,
I agree.
to know how to provide for yourself and for your family or community. And there's a lot of skill sets I did not have, and I was afraid to journey on, and I didn't I was scared. I was scared. And one of the biggest things that where I conquered my fear, and you've heard me talk about this on the podcast before, is that when I killed my first animal, which was a black bear, I was scared of bears in the woods. Going hunting by myself was something that I was literally afraid to do.
Yep.
That's why I was like, Tony, you want to hunt with me? I'm afraid to go out by myself.
Well, and being scared of bears is a very common thing. It's not unknown. You have all these different movies and shows that people are influenced by, so you'll see something on the show, like you think of Shark Week. How terrified are people of sharks because of Shark Week? But at the same time, they're there to educate you and tell you they're not dangerous. But because you get this mindset and you're not out there in the ocean dealing with them on a day to day, you're like, okay, it's really not that bad. But you have to immerse yourself into the wilderness, gain the experience, and then the fear kind of ripples away. And then all of a sudden, now you're like pursuing the bears instead of worrying about a bear pursuing you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so your question actually has two parts for me. So like that provider life and wanting to know.
Mm-hmm.
But my personal life, I was going through a lot of turmoil, and I realized I came to a crossroads where I realized I was not living the life that I was living for myself.
Okay.
I was living it for other people, trying to live up to expectations, trying to fulfill people's hopes and to make others look good. And I decided I was like, I've always wanted to hunt. I grew up watching Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier on the Disney Channel. I learned, you know, like a Red Ryder BB gun in my hands as a small kid. Like, dude, that's all I wanted. You know, whether it's politically incorrect or not, but playing Cowboys and Indians and going out in the backyard and pretending like on a rainy day and I just get soaked, but I pretend like I'm on the frontier and I had to like tough it out and survival and all this. And I've just been fascinated with it. I was like, well, I don't know how to hunt though. If you threw me out in the woods, I wouldn't know how to find animals or do any of this. And I got tired of living this life for other people. And I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to hunt. It's time to do it. No one ever asked me, do you want to hunt? So if I don't take the step to get into it myself, I'll never do it.
Was your intent to go and just say, hey, I went out to kill something? Or was it, I wanted to be able to say I could put food in my freezer without having to go to the grocery store and get it? What was that drive?
Yeah, great
It-
question. And I hate to say this, but it wasn't about food in the freezer.
Okay.
For me, it was about the pinnacle of squeezing the trigger and killing what I was after.
And the challenge of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Like to be able to connect the dots from finding an animal to pursuing it to killing it.
Gotcha.
It was like that. I did it as a man. I know how to now.
Okay.
And then you get into the whole, wow, the food side. And then now it's like, okay,
Oh man,
my
it just
freezer's
starts to
looking a
get
little
real.
empty. It's time to start filling that bad boy up.
And once you have the opportunity to harvest your own animal, beyond that accomplishment,
Yeah.
then you bring that harvest back and you cook it and
Yep.
you eat it and you sit with your family and you get to tell those stories. It changes the entire game of why you do it.
Yeah.
And then you're out to hunt for the challenge there, but then you're providing for your family on a whole different level. You've got these beautiful stories. You've now created a legacy of memories because we're also documenting them.
Mm-hmm.
And your boys can then grow up and don't have to have that question. You can just bring them right into it and introduce them to the outdoors.
Yep.
And accelerate them into that skill set. So that's huge. I think that's super, super special.
That's fun. I appreciate that. Why did you want to hunt?
Oh, that's a great question in itself. So for me, my dad was a hunter. He was a bird hunter. And when I have 3 brothers, so my dad had 4 boys. When you got to a certain age, you were able to go out hunting.
Are you the youngest of the 4?
I'm third.
'Kay.
Third in line. And then there's a younger brother. And so I don't remember what that age was, but when I got to that age, my dad stopped hunting. And I was like, are you serious? All these stories, you bring birds home, we get to clean them. That's all fun. But so I didn't get to experience that. And a part of me feels like I missed out. But it was just like kind of like forgotten about. Like onto the next phase of life. And so he started his own business, which is why he got busier and changed how he did life. And so when Johnny asked, "Hey, do you want to hunt?" I said yes. Like, didn't even think about it, right?
Called him Dad on accident a couple of times. Yes,
thank you,
Dad.
Dad.
Absolutely.
So thank you. May I have another?
So I love outdoors, backpacking, adventure, extreme sports, anything type. If you think extreme or like wild, I want to do that. So hunting was like one thing I've never done or never got to do because I wasn't able to do it with my dad. No one taught me. So that was like, this lines up with everything I love in life. So I can't believe I haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's do that. Like, that has been missing. So it just made sense. And I knew it would be something that I loved to do. And so that's why I ultimately got into it. You know, it was like a hole that was being filled
Yeah.
where
Dude,
it's like,
totally.
this matches up with everything I'm doing. Plus I get to have a gun with it. And like, that's awesome.
Dude, hunting rules.
It's the best.
It's all I want to do.
So Johnny,
Besides
I
hanging out with
was
my
a
family,
huge
like-
snowboarder at the time. I did local competitions. I loved it. I would not sacrifice snowboarding for anything. Johnny was also a snowboarder. We would go snowboarding together, and he's like, I need to invest in hunting and not snowboarding. Snowboarding's too expensive. Hunting's expensive. I have to pick one. And he's like, you will eventually do that. And I was like,
I did actually.
I
say
said,
got
there's
your-
no way I'm going to do that.
I was like, there's gonna come a day. when-
Snowboarding is my love. And then I haven't snowboarded in 2 years.
Yeah. You probably calculate. I don't know if you guys look at it the same way. I would think from a business perspective,
Yeah.
snowboarding, you're at a higher physical risk trying to
Oh.
operate your own business and having a family.
Oh, sure.
That you can get hurt easier. Hunting, there's risk, but it's not the same kind of risk because you're proceeding with
I've
caution
never
differently
once
on
thought
foot.
about risk
Okay.
because
Well,
that is not how my mind works. I'm like, the wilder,
never
the better.
mind.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, for me, so when I got into hunting, I was coaching multiple sports, and so
as was I.
the only animal that I could pursue year round was coyotes.
Mm.
And I was like, I have an AR, the perfect coyote round. I
And-
can do this year round, and in the winters, like prime time. Sweet. Why would I snowboard? I'm gonna go try to start killing some animals.
Which, from my perspective, I was very much into the meat aspect of hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you know, the whole connecting the dot thing, that's the journey that will have to happen. But I'm like, man, it'd be cool to eat the meat that I harvested. And I want a lot of it. Like, wow. And so Johnny's like, dude, coyote hunting, coyote hunting, coyote hunting. And I'm like, you can't even eat coyote. Like, you're wasting your time. Until like I actually was on a stand where we called one, and I was like, that was the best thing ever.
It's
And
so-
now I love coyote hunting, but
So addicting.
Or you do coyote hunting to give yourself opportunity to hunt more deer to reduce the
yeah,
coyote
no,
population, so more
and,
deer
and then you
thrive.
learn
Yep.
the full circle of all of that,
The
and how
conservation
hunting
side.
is not just one thing. It's a lifestyle. It's all encompassing. Like, once you get into it, you realize, whoa. And I think that's why, you know, it was easier to stop other hobbies to just immerse myself into hunting because of how many aspects there are within it. Like, this is huge.
Yeah.
And my wife is right when she says there is no hunting season, it's all year round. Okay, you're right. When you think about the full circle,
Yep.
yes, that is true. Like, there are, you know, deer season is only like 2 weeks. It's all year round. Okay.
Yeah, but I can't kill this deer in the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't understand.
But you can prepare for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I grew up in more of a traditional family setting where it was heavy on the fishing. So my grandfather, Emmett Easley, was really well known for king salmon fishing in the valley in Washington, Skagit Valley. And so that kind of rippled into my father being into fishing. His brothers, he had one brother in particular, my Uncle Brent, he was a huge mule deer hunter. He was big into the deer. So we actually lean more to him to get into the big animal, big game hunting. But I grew up with my father we'd get up early in the morning. It was like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. We'd go to a little town called LaConner, a little fishing town, and we'd do smelt fishing. And we'd stop at that little grocery store or little gas station. We'd get the chocolate donuts and a little chocolate carton of milk. And I just remember I always wanted to go with Dad. I just wanted to go with Dad. So I'd get up real early with him, and we'd drop a whole line of hooks out and catch all these smelt. And I'd get tired at some point. I remember go sleep in the truck. I'd be cold in the truck, and I'd
You
go
still
back
do
out, and he'd
that?
have a bucket full of these fish, and then we'd come back.
I'm interrupting. He does still. He's a snoozer. He loves to snooze.
I take my day
He's-
naps when we're
He
hunting.
says someone has to do it.
But with the fishing, it rippled into more things, and I loved it from the bond that I was able to form going out with my dad. I was a little more in the, I guess, spoiled opportunity to have that at an earlier age. So we did the fishing, and then of course it ripples into duck hunts, ripples into pheasant hunting, and then the better I got at shooting, the more he would take me to do bigger game. But when we would do these deer hunts or other big game hunts, it was more of an armed hike than anything. We're just going to go out, and it was all about the bonding experience that we got to have. So that was what my dad was focusing on forming. And then if we got a deer, it was a huge bonus to come home and you're just like, yo, mission accomplished. But I love what we can do. We all have boys. Ironically, there's no girls in the pot yet.
That's crazy.
But to be able to go out, and now you guys being hunters also, taking your kids out at that earlier age and forming a different level of a bond. It doesn't mean you don't have great bonds with your parents now, but the outdoors just forms something super unique. And anytime you take somebody, even like a mentor, mentee, mentoree, mentee, mentoree,
Mentee. Yeah.
when you
You
take
would
a
be the
mentee out,
mentor.
you get to spend some unique time on a trail, some conversations. In that amount of time, you can learn a lot about a person. And it's inevitable you're going to form an everlasting bond with somebody when you go out and do something that's going to have, in a positive way, but for lack of a better word, a traumatic memory, right? So if something happens to you, like Johnny just hurt his toe, you're not going to forget about the time you broke your toe because it's a traumatic memory.
Johnny's toe is broken right now. I'm looking at it, and
My-
it's disgusting.
It hurts. It's purple. It's got a big
It-
ball.
I feel bad for you. But
Yeah.
when you go out and you hit this high sensation, this high experience, that memory just unites the people that you share it with, and you'll always have this great story to go back and tell. So when you get to take your kids and they're going out with you, they're going to look to that their whole lives with all those beautiful memories, and that legacy makes it so special. So the ability to be able to take out a mentee, whether it's onset hunter, somebody a little bit younger, particularly our demographic that we're kind of going for this content, I think those lifelong memories and the fact that they get to pass it on and bring it down to those lower generations,
yeah.
it's going to spread like wildfire.
Totally agree.
Yep.
That was quite the story. Soul Seekers. That was what this was all about. We got our,
Coming back
coming
full
full
circle.
circle.
Yeah.
We got Soul Seekers, a show.
Yep.
Soul Seekers, the mentorship weekends. And then from there, it creates mentees that then just feed the fire of Soul Seekers, and it just keeps going and going and going. And hopefully, no, I take that back. When Soul Seekers becomes the top show on Carbon TV, it'll then only give us a larger platform to then share our message of mentorship as conservation, and that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure.
Yeah.
And to really, really, as I said when we first started out, change the world.
Yep.
Because it's about giving.
And we need to give a huge shout out to all the great sponsors that have backed us up so far, because it's easy for people to look at and say, oh, I'm just getting product and I'm not getting paid for anything yet. But it starts with the product to build the relationship, to show somebody what you're capable of doing. And then by them backing you up, it just goes to show that they also believe in the cause. Because they can go and give products to anybody they want. But when they take the time to communicate with you and provide you with some of those essentials that are going to make our hunts and our experiences that much better, and get to share that with other people,
Yep.
it just builds a bridge in the overall outdoor community. So I think that's super, super special, and we're super grateful for that.
Yeah. So T&K hunting gear for sure. Tyler Kath, you're doing great things. We love rocking your harnesses. Vortex Optics, you guys have been amazing.
On it.
Just
Thank you.
always giving back to Vets Sporting Goods.
Peak
Quality,
Refuel.
Peak Refuel, Onyx hunt,
Yep.
all that. And
Tacticam. Tony loves Tacticam.
Tacticam, the Tacticus.
Capture the moment.
That's right.
Or the scope.
Yep.
But
So all that stuff, yeah, I agree. Anyway, so the point of this podcast really is just to let everyone know that Soul Seekers is coming at you, and it's coming at you hot. In 2021, you're going to be seeing Soul Seekers blasted all over social media. Going to be hitting Carbon TV. After it's hit Carbon TV, it will be popping up on YouTube, but it will be featured there first. And then from there, just podcasting and website, just growing it and
keeping the content
Spread-
rolling.
just spreading it.
spreading the love,
No?
man.
Yeah.
I want everyone to hunt. I want
Yes.
everyone to know how to hunt. I guess that's what I want everyone to know how to hunt. Whether they hunt or not, that's their own choice, but to know how to hunt, to know how to provide food for your family, to know how to find your quarry in the midst of a wilderness.
And in times like this, COVID, the whole ordeal, people want to learn to provide more on their own.
Yep.
You got meat prices going up. You've got a lot of hands that touch that meat. It's really cool to be able to go out and harvest your own animal and know that you were the only hands that touched
Or
that
just to
animal.
escape into the wilderness and be comfortable and know that you can
Survive in the
out
wilderness.
there and,
Yeah.
and be comfortable and not afraid, or, like people want to escape the hassle and the city stuff because they're stuck in it right now.
Yep. And it's therapeutic. I think people overlook, they're like, hunting. If you really go out and get outdoors, it is super therapeutic.
Absolutely. Like right now, I got a little bit of the shake because I haven't hunted in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get back out there. What's going on? I got the itch. So anyways, everyone, when you hear this podcast, be on the lookout for Soul Seekers hitting Carbon TV. You can also make sure to go subscribe to the Washington Backcountry YouTube channel, where you're going to be finding a lot of cool content. Some of our older content that's on there is awesome, yet not to the same quality and standard that we're going to be delivering from this point forward.
We have a pre-Revel entertainment and a post-Revel entertainment, and you can tell the difference. Just so you know when you're looking.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it all starts with an idea, and then wanting to share it. So, guys, thanks for listening to this episode. Any final words?
I think you nailed it.
Man, we nailed it.
Yeah.
We nailed it.
If they go to your platform, they'll find all platforms for the Soulful Hunter, for Revel Entertainment. Just go to Washington Backcountry.
Yep.
For all things that we're doing.
For all things, listen, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Go check out the Washington Backcountry YouTube channel. Stay tuned for Soul Seekers when it hits
Subscribe so you don't miss it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it will hit YouTube eventually.
That's right. Subscribe. We're going to be, definitely some teasers will be on YouTube. And
We'll do a couple teasers as we go, just since it's going to be a year out. Let's throw a couple out there from hunt to hunt.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Get that sizzle.
Just a
Get
little
that
bit.
sizzle out there.
Just a little bit.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Soulful Hunter podcast, powered by Washington Backcountry and delivered by T&K Hunting Gear. Thank you so much for listening. We'd love to have you leave a review and let us know what you thought of this episode. Guys, really looking forward to this content that we're going to be delivering. And I wish, you could see it right now.
You're going to
because
love it.
You're going to
I promise you're
absolutely
gonna love it.
I guarantee it. Everyone, from Johnny Mac, the Commander, Two Shot, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast, as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.